So this is our first Assess Your Learning activity for this term. And what might be a little bit of a challenge in doing it the way it is in the manual, some of you did start teaching seminary around mid-August, but for the vast majority of you, you started after Labor Day, and then you had your introductory lessons, which means that there really isn't a lot to assess, because even though the Assess Your Learning lesson covers Alma 53 on up, it actually covers even earlier than that. It references things as far back as Alma 47. And it may be that your kids haven't covered much of anything of that. Maybe you've only had a couple of weeks of lessons at this point. So I've got a couple of suggestions for you. If you did start in the middle of August, you've got a lot that you could go back and review. Great. I've got an idea for you. And for those of you who've only been teaching for a couple of weeks, I've got some ideas for you. The focus of the lesson is to remember. The importance of remembering. This is part of the student preparation. It's something they encourage students to be doing. Have them think about the things they can remember from these past lessons. Well, maybe they would have a difficult time remembering those things if they haven't written them down somewhere. This is a really important skill for all teachers. So what I'm going to introduce to you is a resource that would be great for this lesson, whether you've been teaching since August or not. On my YouTube channel, I made this video with one of my teachers 8 years ago on how to effectively use study journals. I think Sister Blunk did an amazing job with what she does with her students with this. She creates a real piece of memorabilia, a real, almost a yearbook. And so I have this 8-minute video of how she uses her scripture journals in a really effective way to help the students to better remember the kinds of things that we are hoping that they'll remember, to remember the lessons that you're learning and the things that you're doing. So I'm going to put a link to this video. If you want to use your scripture journals more effectively with your students, this is an incredible technique for doing it. My next recommendation is to, instead of teaching the Assess Your Learning lesson, pick a lesson that you would have missed this summer. We pretty much skipped all of Alma. Are there favorite moments in Alma? Places where you really love the stories? Or, we've got the Sons of Mosiah. We've got Captain Moroni, the 2,000 Stripling Warriors. Pick a lesson somewhere in here that the kids didn't get covered this summer and do that lesson instead of the Assess Your Learning activity. This is especially useful if you've only been teaching for a couple of weeks. And this is my last suggestion. It goes along with the idea of choosing a lesson from this summer, and that is to use the Picture Gems resources. These are videos that I made that cover, in 5 minutes or so, covers the content for a Come Follow Me block of scripture. And so it uses maps and graphics from the church's Book of Mormon Stories project, and walks through the main events of what's happening during this. It's just the content and context. It's not getting into lessons. But try using one or more of these along with a lesson to give students an idea of what was happening this summer that's leading up to the events that are happening right now. I'll put a link for that playlist also in the description. Remember that a main focus of this lesson is to help students learn how to remember these lessons that we're teaching. So whether you use a video resource like Picture Gems or scripture journals and the activities you can use with those, or you use this lesson to help students review things that you've talked about in the past, it will really bless students' lives to remember these important lessons.